Chapter 1: The Trip That Changed Everything. I still remember the smell of rain that morning. It had followed me all the way from the airport, clinging to my clothes like a reminder that something was about to change. 3 weeks away from home, 3 endless weeks of missed calls, short texts, and long nights staring at photos of my wife, Elena, and our son, Noah. The flight had landed earlier than expected. I didn't tell them. I wanted to surprise them, see Noah's face light up when he saw me at the door. With his favorite toy robot, I took a cab home, heart racing with excitement. Every mile closer to the house felt like I was going back to warmth, to love. But when the car turned into our street, a strange chill settled in my chest. There was a car parked outside our house, a sleek black sedan I didn't recognize. I frowned, dragging my suitcase up the porch. The front door was unlocked. That was unusual. Elena never left. It opened, not even for deliveries. As soon as I stepped inside, I froze. The house felt different. The curtains were new cream-colored instead of blue. The scent in the air wasn't Elena's lavender candles. It was something muskier, sharper, like a man's cologne. And then I heard it: laughter. A deep, masculine laugh mixed with Elena's voice. My stomach dropped. I followed the sound into the kitchen. Elena stood there in a casual dress I'd never seen before, hair tied up, smiling at a man sitting at our table. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with his hand resting comfortably near Noah's cereal bowl. Noah was giggling, feeding the man spoonfuls of cornflakes like it was the most natural thing in the world. For a second, I thought I'd walked into someone else's home. My brain refused to connect what my eyes were seeing. Then Noah looked up and saw me. His smile faded. "Dad," he whispered uncertainly. Elena turned, her face drained of color, then stiffened. "Aaron." I looked at her, then at the man, then back at Noah. My heart started pounding in my ears. "Who is he?" I managed to say. The man stood up calmly, wiping his hands. "Daniel," he said, extending a hand like this was some polite introduction. "Elena's friend." The word felt like poison. I didn't take his hand. I looked at Elena, searching her face for any sign that this was a misunderstanding, a stupid accident, anything. But her eyes told me the truth before her mouth moved. "It's not what it looks like," she said softly. "It looks like a stranger sitting at my table, eating breakfast with my wife and son." I shot back, my voice shaking. Noah looked between us, his little eyes wide. "Mom, what's happening?" She reached for him, but he pulled away, confused. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to shake her and ask why. But I couldn't. My voice caught in my throat, and all that came out was a trembling whisper. "How long, Elena?" Her lips parted. She hesitated just long enough for me to know the answer would break me. 6 months, she said quietly. I felt the world tilt. 6 months. While I'd been working overtime, flying across cities to close deals for our future. She'd been here building another life. Was it the money? I asked. The distance? Or did I just stop being enough? Her eyes filled with tears. "Aaron, I didn't plan this. It just happened. I was lonely." "You were never home, don't you dare." I cut her off. "Don't you dare blame this on me." Daniel stepped forward, his tone even. "Maybe you should leave. This isn't good for the kid." I turned on him. "You don't tell me what's good for my son." The air went silent. Noah started to cry softly. I crouched down, trying to touch him, but he pulled back, clutching Elena's hand. "I want to stay with Mom," he whispered. That was the moment my heart broke completely. She had already made him choose. I stood up slowly, trying to breathe through the pain. "So that's it," I said. 3 weeks away, and I come home to find my family replaced. Elena's tears fell, but she didn't deny it. Daniel reached for her shoulder protectively, and that image, his hand where mine used to be, burned itself into my memory. Without another word, I grabbed my suitcase, turned toward the door, and left. Outside, the rain had started again. It soaked through my clothes, but I didn't care. Each drop felt like a punishment I deserved for trusting too much, loving too blindly. As I walked down the street, I looked back once, through the window. I saw Noah hugging Elena, Daniel beside them. And for the first time in my life, I felt like a ghost watching my own life continue without me. Chapter 2. The Shattered Picture. For me, the next morning, I stood in front of our house again. Only this time, I wasn't holding flowers or gifts, just a divorce lawyer's card in my pocket and a heart too heavy to carry. I had barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel's hand on Noah's shoulder, Elena's eyes avoiding mine. I told myself I needed closure, that I'd go in, demand answers, and finally end the nightmare. But when the door opened, it wasn't Elena. It was him. Daniel leaned against the frame casually, wearing my sweatshirt. Hey, he said coolly, as if I were the intruder here. Elena's getting Noah ready for school. You can wait if you want. I pushed past him before I lost control. I don't need your permission. Elena appeared from the hallway, hair still wet from a shower. When she saw me, she froze. Aaron, what are you doing here? I laughed bitterly. That's my question, isn't it? What are you doing here with him? Daniel stepped closer, but she raised her hand slightly. Let me talk to him, Daniel. He gave me a long, warning look before walking to the kitchen. I heard the fridge door open, the clink of a mug. He was making himself coffee in my house. My stomach twisted. Elena, I said quietly, I just need to understand. When did you stop loving me? She looked down, fiddling with her fingers. It's not that simple. It is, I said sharply. Either you loved me, or you didn't. Either you were mine, or you weren't. Tears welled in her eyes. You were gone all the time, Aaron. Business trips, late nights, always exhausted. I was here alone with Noah. And Daniel, he was there when I needed someone. My voice cracked. I was doing all that for you, for us, for our family. I didn't ask for all that, she said, her tone turning cold. I just wanted you to be present. I stared at her, realization dawning like a cruel joke. So, you replaced me with someone who was present. Silence. Then, I didn't mean for it to happen. She whispered. It just did. Stop saying that. I slammed my hand on the counter, making her flinch. Affairs don't just happen. You planned it. You hid it. You chose him. A small, frightened voice interrupted. Dad. Noah stood at the hallway door, backpack on, clutching his toy robot, the one I bought him. Hey, buddy. I tried to smile, kneeling down. You ready for school? He hesitated, then looked at Elena. Can Daniel drop me off today? The smile died on my lips. Elena bit her lip, whispering, Noah, go wait in the car. He nodded slowly and walked out. I stood up, breathing hard. So, that's it then. You've already decided he's the father now. Tears streaked her face. Don't say that. You'll always be his father. Then why does he call him mom's friend and ask him to take him to school? She had no answer. Just more silence. My gaze fell on the wall behind her, our family photo from last Christmas. Me, Elena, and Noah, smiling under the tree. But the frame was cracked, split right down the middle, across my face. When did you break it? I asked quietly. She blinked, confused. What, the picture? I said, pointing. When did it break? Her voice trembled. A few days ago. It fell off while cleaning. I walked over, touched the frame. The glass sliced my finger, drawing a thin line of blood. I didn't even feel it. Guess that's symbolic, I murmured. The family breaking before I even knew it. Behind me, Daniel's voice came again, calm but mocking. You should go, man. This isn't healthy for anyone. I turned slowly, my voice low and sharp. You talk one more time, and I'll forget I'm the calm one. He smirked but didn't move. I faced Elena again. You think he's better than me? Fine. But remember, he won't love you the way I did. He won't give up everything for you like I did. Because people like him don't stay. They just take until there's nothing left. She whispered. You're just angry right now. I laughed. Hollow. No. I'm awake. I walked toward the door, pausing only once. You'll regret this, Elena. Maybe not today, but you will. Outside, the wind howled through the street, dry leaves scraping across the pavement. I opened my hand, staring at the small line of blood from the glass. It didn't hurt anymore. I realized something then: pain only stings when you still have hope, and I had none left. Chapter 3. The empty apartment. I never realized how loud silence could be until I moved into that apartment. It was small, old, and smelled faintly of paint and dust. A single room, one window, one broken chair, and a bed that creaked with every breath I took. The kind of place you stay in when you've got nowhere else to go. I dropped my suitcase on the floor and stood there for a long time, staring at nothing. My whole life used to fit inside a house full of laughter, toys, and Elena's perfume. Now it all fit inside one suitcase and an empty fridge. I turned on my phone. 16 unread messages. Not from her, of course not. From friends. Bro, heard about what happened. You okay? Call me. Don't do anything stupid. She's not worth it, man. I didn't answer any of them. Words couldn't fix what had been broken. Instead, I sat on the floor and scrolled through old photos. Noah blowing candles on his 5th birthday. Elena's arms around me, her smile brighter than the candles themselves. It hurt to look at her, but I couldn't stop. Then I opened my videos. There it was, our Christmas clip from last year. Elena laughing, Noah throwing snowballs. And then, in the corner of the frame, a man's hand. Daniel's hand. My heart sank. He was there back then, months before I left for my trip. They hadn't just happened. They'd been lying to me long before I even suspected. I slammed the laptop shut and leaned back against the wall. My breath came out in short, angry bursts. She didn't cheat because she was lonely. She cheated because she could. Because she knew I'd trust her enough not to question. I felt stupid. No worse than stupid. I felt invisible. Hours passed. I didn't eat, didn't move. I just stared at the ceiling until the room grew dark. Then came the email notification. Subject: custody hearing. Next week. My stomach twisted. I clicked it open. Her lawyer's name sat there in bold letters, along with a cold summary. Elena Martinez requests full custody of minor Noah Martinez, citing emotional instability and prolonged absence of father. I read it again and again. Emotional instability, prolonged absence. I'd worked to feed them, to give them everything, and now she was using that against me. I laughed, a dry, broken sound that echoed off the empty walls. Then something inside me cracked. I grabbed the nearest thing, my framed photo of Noah, from my desk and threw it across the room. It shattered against the wall, pieces scattering like glass rain. I sank to the floor, shaking. My throat burned. Tears spilled before I could stop them. Why, Elena? I whispered to the dark. Why did you destroy everything for him? No answer came. Only the faint hum of the city outside, like the world was still moving on without me. The next morning, I woke up on the floor, head pounding. My phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, from an unknown number. I heard about Elena and Daniel. Meet me at Cafe Nova at 3 p.m. You'll want to hear this. I stared at the message, uncertain. Maybe it was one of our mutual friends. Maybe it was her trying to get inside my head again. But something about the message felt different, like the first ripple before a storm. I didn't know it then, but that text would be the start of everything that came next. The start of my revenge. For the first time in days, I felt something other than pain. I felt awake. Chapter 4. The first spark of revenge. The cafe smelled like burnt coffee and rain. I hadn't been there in years, Elena, and I used to come here every Sunday. Now, sitting in that same corner booth felt like sitting in a memory that didn't belong to me anymore. I checked my watch. To 59 p.m. Whoever texted me was late. Then the doorbell jingled, and in walked Liam. I hadn't seen him in months, since college reunions turned into polite excuses. He looked the same, those same messy hair, same sharp eyes that missed nothing. Aaron, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. You look like hell. I managed a bitter smile. Nice to see you too. He ordered black coffee, then leaned forward. I heard about Elena. Half the city's whispering about it, yeah. I said quietly. Seems betrayal travels faster than the truth. He studied me for a moment, then said, I'm going to skip the sympathy part. You don't need that right now. You need to hear what I found. I frowned. Found? He pulled a folder from his bag and slid it toward me. Inside were copies of documents, bank statements, legal forms, and emails. My name appeared several times, forged in places I'd never signed. I stared at them. Cold washing through me. What the hell is this? Liam sipped his coffee. Your wife's been busy. She used your power of attorney to withdraw money from your family trust, about $50,000, then transferred it to a new account in Daniel's name. I blinked, disbelief turning to rage. You're sure? He nodded. I verified the transaction chain myself. I'm a lawyer now. Remember. I sat back, silent for a long moment. The noise of the cafe blurred into static. $50,000. That was the money I'd been saving for Noah's school. Liam watched my face. You've been wrong, Aaron. Not just emotionally, legally. You could press charges. I don't want to drag Noah through a courtroom. I muttered. Then hit them where it hurts. He said, you don't need to throw punches, you need to think. I looked up at him. His eyes were calm, confident. What are you suggesting? He smirked. You want justice. Stop bleeding and start planning. Something about that line stuck with me. Stop bleeding. Start planning. For weeks I've been walking around like a ghost, broken, waiting for the pain to stop. But now there was a new feeling rising inside me. Cold, focused, dangerous. Tell me everything. I said. He leaned back. Simple. You stay quiet. Play the role of the heartbroken husband. Let them think you've given up. Meanwhile, I'll dig deeper into Daniel's background, his finances, his work. People like him always have skeletons. And Elena, I asked, leave her to karma. He said, she'll get caught in his downfall when it happens. I nodded slowly. Fine. But when the time comes, I want to be there when she realizes what she lost. Liam's smile turned grim. You will. Later that night, I walked through the city streets alone. Neon lights reflected off puddles, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel crushed by the weight of my thoughts. I felt calm. I replayed Elena's words in my head. It just happened, the way she looked at Daniel, the way Noah reached for him instead of me. They built their happiness on my pain. They thought I'd disappear quietly. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through old photos again, but this time, I wasn't looking for memories. I was looking for evidence, dates, patterns, places she'd lied about being. Every photo became a clue. Every message a weapon waiting to be used. By midnight, I had filled an entire notebook with notes, names, numbers, connections. Then I paused, realizing something strange. I wasn't crying anymore. The pain had become something sharper, something useful. The next morning, Liam called. You were right, he said. Daniel's not who he says he is. His company's been under quiet investigation for financial fraud. If I can connect Elena's account to his, she'll be involved by default. A slow smile crept across my face. Good. Let's make sure they both fall together. Liam hesitated. You sure you want to go this far? Yes, I said firmly. They took everything from me, my home, my son, my name. I'm not destroying them out of anger. I'm just returning what they gave me. For a long moment, there was silence on the line. Then Liam said quietly, You've changed, man. I looked out the window, at the morning sun bleeding through clouds. Yeah, I said. Guess heartbreak does that. That night, as I lay on the bed in my dark apartment, I thought about Elena, how she once said I'd never survive without her. I smiled in the dark, because she was about to learn that I could do a lot more than survive. Chapter 5. Mass and Lies. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of pretending to be broken while quietly gathering everything I needed to destroy them. Elena thought I'd moved on. Daniel thought I was harmless. That was their mistake. The first time I saw them again was at Noah's school event, a small charity fair filled with parents, kids, and cheap decorations. The kind of normal moment I used to love. I stood near the entrance, clutching a small gift bag for Noah. My heart still hurt when I saw him, my son, running around with a painted tiger face and laughter that reminded me of better days. Then I saw her, Elena, dressed perfectly, smile rehearsed, and beside her, Daniel, wearing a fitted shirt like he belonged there. He had his arm around her waist, my place. They walked up to the teacher's table, signing their names on the parents' list. I caught part of their conversation. "This is Daniel," Elena said softly. "He's Noah's guardian figure." The teacher smiled politely, unaware of the venom behind those words. Guardian figure, not husband, not father, but close enough to make my blood boil. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and said calmly, "Actually, I'm Noah's father." Elena froze mid-signature. Her hand trembled slightly. "Aaron," she said under her breath, forcing a smile. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I'm still his parent," I replied. "Why wouldn't I be?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Maybe because you've been gone for a while." I met his gaze evenly. "Work trip, not a prison sentence." For a moment, none of us spoke. Parents and kids passed by, laughing, unaware that a quiet war was brewing in the middle of the schoolyard. Then the teacher broke the silence. "It's good that both of you are here for Noah. He must be happy to see his family together." Family. That word hit hard. I turned to Noah, who was painting with other kids. He looked up, saw us all standing there, and waved. "Dad." He called Dad. It was small, but it was enough. Elena's fake smile faltered. Daniel's face stiffened. I smiled back at my son, raising a hand in return. For a second, I felt like I'd won something invisible. After the event ended, I stayed behind, watching them from a distance as they packed into Daniel's car. Elena was laughing again, the forced. Daniel's hand on her shoulder looked possessive, not loving. My phone buzzed. It was Liam. "Got something you'll want to see." Daniel's ex-wife contacted me. I frowned. "Ex-wife?" "Yeah. Clara. Says Daniel left her high and dry after draining her bank account." Sound familiar? My heart skipped. Set up a meeting. The next day, I met Clara at a quiet diner on the outskirts of town. She was in her mid-30s, neatly dressed but with tired eyes. When I introduced myself, she didn't seem surprised. "I figured you'd come eventually," she said, stirring her coffee. "You're not the first man Daniel's done this to." I leaned forward. "Tell me everything." She nodded slowly. "He did the same thing to me. Moved in fast, promised forever, then started controlling everything: my job, my money, my friends. And when I finally questioned him, he left. Took half of what I had and vanished." I clenched my fists. "So he's a professional parasite." She gave a bitter laugh. "That's one word for it." I asked, "Why tell me this now?" "Because someone warned me about you," she said. "Elena told people you were unstable, that you were dangerous. I wanted to see for myself." And she studied me for a long second. "You're not dangerous, Aaron. You're hurt. But if you play this right, he'll get what's coming. Then help me," I said quietly. Her eyes hardened. Gladly over the next few days, Clara and I pieced together everything: Daniel's aliases, his fake companies, the women he'd scammed before Elena. The puzzle fit perfectly. I recorded our conversations, collected screenshots, and passed them to Liam. Each document was another nail in Daniel's coffin. I didn't confront Elena. Not yet. No. She needed to believe she'd won. She needed to taste happiness long enough to choke on it later. A week later, Elena called me for the first time in months. Her tone was sharp, defensive. "Aaron, I heard you've been asking around about Daniel. Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" I said evenly. "Caring about the man who's raising my son?" "You're crossing lines," she warned. "Daniel isn't who you think he is." "I know," I said softly. "That's what makes this so interesting." She went silent. I could almost hear the panic behind her calm tone. "Elena," I added, "tell Daniel I said hello." and maybe remind him that karma doesn't knock, it breaks the door down. Then I hung up. For the first time since my world fell apart, I smiled, because I could finally see the cracks forming. Their perfect life was starting to rot from the inside, and I hadn't even touched it yet. Chapter 6. Silent retaliation. Revenge doesn't begin with rage. It begins with silence, the kind that eats you from the inside until you learn to control it, shape it, and use it like a blade. That's what I've been doing for the past month, building my silence into a weapon. Liam helped me trace Daniel's fake investment accounts. Clara provided signed statements. I spent long nights typing reports, collecting screenshots, piecing together everything that could expose him. Each file I saved felt like one step closer to freedom. But I wasn't just after Daniel. I wanted Elena to see who she had chosen. I wanted her to understand what betrayal really costs. One evening, I parked across from Daniel's office building. It was a glass tower glowing under the night sky, a reflection of everything fake about him. I watched from the shadows as he left with a confident stride, phone in hand, laughing into the night like a man untouchable. He had no idea that his world was already collapsing. I texted Liam, send it, within minutes. Every major client Daniel worked with received anonymous files detailing his fraud, fake invoices, money trails, and witness statements from ex-clients. By morning, his empire would burn. But that wasn't enough. I printed copies of the evidence, placed them neatly in an envelope, and left it at Elena's doorstep. No note, no signature. Just the truth wrapped in silence. The next day, chaos broke out. I woke to a flood of calls from Liam. Aaron, it's working. His company's frozen. The police are involved. He's finished. I rubbed my face, feeling the fatigue in every bone. Good. You okay? Liam asked. I don't know. I admitted. I thought I'd feel better. Give it time, he said quietly. Sometimes victory feels empty before it feels right. Maybe he was right. Because as the news spread, I didn't feel joy. I felt stillness. Like the calm before a storm, I'd summoned myself. Later that afternoon, Elena called me. Her voice was shaking. Aaron, what did you do? I stayed silent. I just got a visit from the police, she said. They were asking questions about Daniel's company. There's evidence everywhere, emails, accounts. They said someone gave them everything. Maybe someone wanted to tell the truth. I replied. You don't understand, she snapped. He could go to jail. You're ruining people's lives. I laughed softly. So now it's about people. Funny. You didn't say that when you ruined mine. Aaron, please, no. I cut her off. You made your choice, Elena. I'm just making sure you live with it. The line went dead. For a long time, I stared at my reflection in the window. I didn't look like the man I used to be. My eyes were colder, sharper. But for the first time, I didn't feel powerless. 3 days later, Daniel's face was all over the local news. Businessman accused of large-scale fraud. He'd been arrested for embezzlement, tax evasion, and identity theft. I watched the broadcast with a blank expression as the reporter listed the charges. Elena stood in the background of one clip, shielding Noah from cameras, her face pale and broken. Part of me wanted to turn the TV off. Another part wanted to keep watching until the last piece of her illusion shattered. That evening, I drove past their house. The lights were off except for one dim glow in the living room. I could see her through the window, sitting alone, hands covering her face. Something in me stirred pity, anger, nostalgia. I didn't know which. I parked down the street, stepped out, and leaned against my car, staring up at the house where my family used to live. I remembered Noah's laughter echoing in the hallways, Elena humming while she cooked, the way sunlight used to fill our mornings. Now, the warmth was gone, replaced by shadows and silence. Then I heard the door open. Elena stepped outside, hugging a coat around herself. Her eyes caught mine across the distance. We stood there for a moment as strangers bound by memories. She walked toward me slowly. You did this, she whispered when she reached me. I didn't answer. Tears filled her eyes. Do you hate me that much? I exhaled. No, Elena, I just stopped loving the version of you that could do this to me. She broke down, covering her face with trembling hands. I thought I was doing the right thing. Daniel said you didn't care about us anymore, that you were obsessed with work, with money. I stepped closer, and you believed him over me. I was stupid, she sobbed. I thought he loved me. You thought wrong. She looked up at me, desperate. What now? Are you happy? You destroyed him, Aaron. Are you satisfied? I paused, searching her face for the woman I once loved. No, I said finally. I'm not happy, but I'm done being the one who loses. Her lips quivered. And Noah, my throat tightened. He's the only innocent one in this mess. Keep him safe, and don't let him grow up thinking lies are love. Then I turned and walked away before she could say another word. As I drove off, I caught one last glimpse of her in the rearview mirror, standing in the cold, watching the man she betrayed disappear for good. Chapter 7. Ashes of What's Left. When you destroy someone, you expect peace. But all I felt was silence. Not the calm kind, the heavy, suffocating kind that presses down on you until even breathing feels like guilt. Daniel was gone. Elena was broken, and I didn't know who I was anymore. 2 weeks after Daniel's arrest, the story spread everywhere. News channels, gossip sites, social media. His name was plastered under headlines about fraud and betrayal. His company went bankrupt overnight. His clients demanded refunds, and those same people who once toasted to his success were now calling him a thief. Liam called me one night while I sat alone in my apartment. You did it, Aaron. He's finished. They froze his accounts. He's not getting out anytime soon. I didn't answer immediately. You should celebrate, he said. You finally got justice. Justice, I repeated softly, staring at the wall. Funny how empty it feels. You expected fireworks. He asked gently. I expected something. Closure, relief, anything that made it worth it. Maybe closure doesn't come when they fall, Liam said. Maybe it comes when you stop caring. The next morning, I went to see Noah. Elena had called earlier that week, asking if I could take him for a few days. Her voice sounded tired, defeated. When I arrived, the house looked different, quiet, half empty. Boxes were stacked by the door. Pictures were missing from the walls. Elena opened the door, her eyes red. She didn't say much, just nodded toward the stairs. He's packing his bag. I stepped inside. The air felt colder, as if the house itself was grieving. Noah ran down moments later, clutching his toy airplane. Dad. I smiled, kneeling to hug him. Hey, champ. He hugged me tight, whispering, Mom cries a lot. I froze for a second, then stroked his hair gently. She'll be okay. Grown-ups just mess things up sometimes. He looked up at me with innocent eyes. Are you and Mom friends again? I forced a smile. We're trying. Later, while Noah napped on the couch, I found Elena sitting on the porch, staring at the empty street. She didn't look at me when she said, He's gone for good. They denied bail. I know. I sold my car. She continued quietly. The house will go next. Most of it was under his name. I have to start over. I nodded slowly. That's what happens when you build your world on someone else's lies. She winced. You warned me once. Yeah, I said bitterly. I did. We sat in silence for a long time, the only sound being the wind rustling the leaves. Finally, she turned toward me. You wanted me to hurt like you did, right? Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. I met her gaze. I didn't want you to hurt, Elena. I wanted you to understand. Understand what? She whispered. That betrayal doesn't just break hearts, it breaks people. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I understand now. When I drove Noah back to my apartment, he fell asleep in the back seat, clutching his toy. I glanced at him through the mirror, my chest tightening. I'd fought so hard for revenge that I'd almost forgotten what mattered most to him. I thought revenge would fix everything. But as I watched my son sleep, I realized I hadn't fixed anything. I just burned everything down and called it justice. The following week, I visited Daniel's trial. He looked smaller somehow, like the walls had crushed his arrogance. His hair was messy, his eyes dull. When the judge denied his appeal, he turned and saw me sitting in the back row. Our eyes met for the first time since it all began. He smirked faintly. "You think you've won," he muttered as they escorted him out. I didn't answer, because I didn't know anymore. Outside the courthouse, reporters crowded Elena. She shielded her face, rushing past them. When she saw me waiting by the steps, she stopped. "You came," she said softly. "I wanted to see the end," I replied. She looked at the sky, exhaling shakily. "It doesn't feel like an ending, just a hole that keeps getting bigger." I hesitated, then said, "Maybe that's what endings are. Empty space where something used to be." She nodded. "I'm sorry, Aaron." I nodded back. "I know." We stood there, two ghosts of who we used to be. Then she said quietly, "No one needs both of us, even if we're not us anymore." "I know," I said again, voice breaking a little. "He'll have that, for the first time in months." I meant it. The night, I took Noah to the pier. The sea was calm, reflecting the city lights. He pointed at the horizon. "Dad, look, stars." I smiled. "Yeah, stars don't disappear, even when clouds cover them. They just wait." He grinned. "Like you and me." I laughed softly, hugging him close. Exactly like that. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt something real, not revenge. Not anger, but peace. Small, fragile, but enough. Because even in the ashes of what's left, there was still something worth rebuilding. Chapter 8. What remains after revenge? Some wounds don't close. They just stop bleeding long enough for you to live again. Months passed since the trial. Daniel was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Elena moved to a smaller apartment across town. Noah stayed with me on weekends, splitting his time between the homes that no longer felt like home. Life had quieted down, but silence isn't peace. It's just what's left after the storm. One morning, I was making breakfast when Noah walked in, rubbing his eyes. "Dad, can Mom come for dinner tonight?" I hesitated, flipping the pancake slowly. "You want that?" He nodded. "I think she's lonely." I smiled faintly. "Okay, invite her." He grinned, ran to grab my phone, and called her right there. His small voice filled the kitchen with a warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. That evening, Elena came by. She looked different. No makeup, simple clothes, hair tied back. She looked more like the woman I once knew, the one before ambition, before greed, before Daniel. Noah ran to her instantly, hugging her tight. She smiled, then glanced at me awkwardly. "It smells good in here." "Don't sound so surprised," I said, setting the plates on the table. We ate mostly in silence. Noah talked the most about school, about his new friends, about the drawing he made of Mom, Dad, and me at the beach. I looked at it when he handed it to me. 3 stick figures holding hands. Simple, honest. Everything our real lives weren't. After dinner, I tucked Noah into bed while Elena waited on the porch. When I came out, she was staring up at the night sky. "He is happy," she said softly. "That's what matters." "Yeah," I agreed. "He's stronger than both of us." She turned toward me. "Aaron, I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope someday you'll stop hating me." I shook my head. "I don't hate you, Elena. Not anymore." Her eyes filled with tears. "Then what do you feel?" I took a deep breath. "Gratitude. You broke me in ways that forced me to rebuild. You taught me what I should never become." She looked away, whispering, "That sounds more painful than hate, maybe," I said quietly. "But it's real." After she left, I sat alone on the porch for a long time. The air was cool, the night calm. I listened to the distant sound of traffic, the soft hum of life going on. For the first time, I didn't replay the betrayal in my head. I didn't see her lies, or Daniel's smirk, or my own anger. All I saw was the road ahead. A blank page. Weeks later, I got a letter from Daniel handwritten from prison. "You won, Aaron. But you should know, victory built on hate doesn't last. I've lost everything, But I sleep at night knowing I wasn't the only one pretending. You wanted revenge, not peace. So tell me, are you really free? I stared at the words for a long time. Then I burned the letter. Because I finally understood, revenge doesn't set you free. It just changed you to the past until you decide to stop looking back. And I was done looking back. 3 months later, I took Noah on a trip. Just the two of us. The same mountains I left from the day everything fell apart. He sat beside me in the car, humming a song he made up, his small hand resting on mine. "Dad," he said suddenly, "are you happy now?" The question hit deeper than he knew. I smiled at him. "Yeah, I think I am." He nodded like he understood, then turned to look out the window, watching the world pass by. As the road curved upward, I caught a glimpse of the sunrise spreading over the horizon, gold and red, cutting through the fog. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was driving away from something. I was driving towards something better, something new. That night, as we sat by the fire in the mountain cabin, Noah leaned against me. "Dad," he murmured sleepily, "will you and Mom ever be together again?" I looked at the stars outside the window. Their light steady and patient, maybe not the way we were. I said, "But we'll always be a family, different but still connected." He nodded and drifted off to sleep. I watched the flames flicker, their glow warm against the dark dot. In that quiet moment, I realized the truth. Revenge gave me justice, but forgiveness gave me peace. And sometimes, peace is the only real victory. I used to think betrayal was the end of everything. Now I know it's just the beginning of who you become after. Because when the pain fades, the lies crumble, and the anger burns out, what remains isn't hate, it's freedom. Chapter 9. Years later. Time has a strange way of softening everything, even memories. That once cut deep. 5 years have passed since the day everything fell apart, and those scars remain. They no longer ache. I still remember that morning clearly. Noah running around the living room, his laughter echoing through the apartment, sunlight spilling across the floor. Now he's 10, taller, smarter, more confident than I ever was at his age. He still calls me Dad with the same warmth, though sometimes his voice sounds older, like he's outgrowing the little boy I used to carry on my shoulders. He's painting again today, his latest school project about family. When he shows me the finished piece, I can't help but stare. 3 figures again, but this time, they're surrounded by light. "Dad, Mom, and me," he says proudly. "But I added the sun because you said the stars always come back." I nod, smiling. "That's beautiful, Noah." He grins. "Mom's coming to the exhibition, right?" She said she wouldn't miss it. He beams, then runs off to get ready later that evening. The school gym is filled with parents and art displays. I stand by Noah's painting, waiting. Then I see her Elena walking in quietly. She looks peaceful now, simpler. Her hair is shorter, her smile genuine, not practiced. She rebuilt her life, working as an art teacher at a small academy. We greet each other politely, but there's no bitterness left, just history. Noah runs to her, hugging her tightly. She kisses his forehead, then looks at me. "He's amazing, Aaron. You've done a good job." I shake my head. We both did. For a moment, the silence between us feels almost comfortable. We're no longer ex-lovers, no longer enemies, just two people who share a child and a past that taught them too much. After the exhibition, we walk together to the parking lot while Noah runs ahead, waving his certificate like a trophy. Elena glances at me. "You ever think about what might have been if we hadn't?" I stop her gently. "No, I used to. But I realize the past doesn't change, it just teaches." She nods slowly. "And what did it teach you?" "That some people are meant to walk with you," I say quietly. "But not all the way." She smiles sadly. "That's a good way to put it." We watch Noah laughing near the car, waving at both of us. Elena whispers, "He forgave us a long time ago. Maybe that's what real strength looks like." "Yeah," I say softly. "He's better than both of us combined." We both laugh, awkward, but real. Months later, I get a letter in the mail. It's from Daniel. Again. I heard Noah's doing well. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you're teaching him to be better than us. If nothing else, let my mistakes remind him what not to become. This time, I don't burn it. I keep it in a drawer not out of sympathy, but as a reminder that every story leaves echoes, even the broken ones. Life found its rhythm again. I opened my own small business consulting, flexible hours. Enough time to focus on Noah. Sometimes I even help with community work mentoring kids. Giving talks about rebuilding after loss. People often ask, how did you survive all that? And I tell them the truth. I didn't survive because of revenge. I survived after it. Because revenge is fire, it gives light for a moment, but it burns everything it touches. Peace, though, peace rebuilds. One evening, while walking home with Noah, we stopped by the same pier we once visited years ago. The sunset stretches across the water, gold and quiet. He looks up at me. Dad, do you still think stars wait behind the clouds? I smile. They always do. Just like people. We don't disappear, we just wait for our time to shine again. He nods, slipping his small hand into mine. And for the first time in a long time, I feel complete. No anger, no ghosts, just life imperfect, but real. As we walk home, I glance back at the sky one last time. The stars are faint, but they're there. I whisper to myself, it's over now. But deep down, I know it's not just an ending. It's the beginning of everything I was meant to become. A father, a survivor, a man who finally learned that forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom.